Hello everyone! So Hun Yuan Video is now officially integrated in ComfyUI. Now you're able to run Hun Yuan Video with native nodes in ComfyUI. The latest update versions of ComfyUI have the sampler, the VAE encoding, decoding, also their model files, which, as you can see right here on this page, the latest ComfyUI examples from the ComfyUI GitHub project page, where you see Hun Yuan Video, is able to run in ComfyUI native nodes. As the page shows, there's not too much information. There are a few links you have to download, which first of all are the model files of the text-to-video 720p resolution BF16 SafeTensor files, which will save in the ComfyUI models folder, and the subfolder is the diffusion models folder. And the other files you have to download, of course, are the clip files, the clip-L SafeTensor. I believe a lot of people have downloaded this already, since if you've been running the Flux model and the other one, which for the clip text loader is the Lava Llama 3 FP8 SafeTensor files. This is previously if you've tried the Hun Yuan video wrapper from KJ Nodes that was using the Lava Llama 3 original repository model where it was kind of heavy loading in every fact and form on local machines. But for this Lava Llama 3 FP8 SafeTensor, it's a compressed file size of the whole large language model. And right now, this is like the trend of going through using language models as the text encoding, passing back the data to the diffusion model to process videos or images. So it is what it is for the trend right here on the ComfyUI Hugging Face page that you're able to see the clip L is able to download. Here's the FP8, and this is a smaller file size, and the larger file size is the FP16, which is 16 gigabytes. Whichever one you download will also work. But for low VRAM or older GPU models, people who have those consumer PCs might consider just using the FP8, which is suitable for your system. So, coming back here, we have the last files you've got to download, which are the Hun Yuan Video VAE SafeTensor files that are stored in your Models Files VAE subfolder, which this is the latest update version of the Hun Yuan Video VAE file compatible for ComfyUI. They're all trimmed down and compressed into one SafeTensor file, which is more convenient for end users to download. More convenient for consumer PCs to run, except for the model files in here, the text-to-video 720p resolution. These files still remain at 25 gigabytes, so save up some storage or free up some storage in order to process these files to download them on your local machines. It still remains at 25 gigabytes. Remember that first launch day for the Hun Yuan Video's AI models? The custom node quickly released in the first day. You had to download some model files at the bottom of that GitHub project page. There's a link in there to the KJ Hun Yuan Video wrapper repositories. The file size makes a difference. Here, you've got the 720p resolution FP8 version compressed to 13 gigabytes, and then the full version VF16 is still 25 gigabytes. There's also another model called Fast Videos that supports both Hun Yuan Video and Mochi LTX, but this time we're focusing on the official ComfyUI repository. We're running this natively in ComfyUI without any nodes to see how good it is and whether we can use the other components that, make and match with the Hun Yuan Video's AI to create videos with a few seconds of scenes. Now, in my AI business channels, I mostly talk about research papers, AI business ideas, and all sorts of stuff. On the first day I ran this, I mentioned the Hun Yuan Video. I used an H100 GPU server, and it performed pretty well when generating different scenes. I tried things out with different scenes and used replica.com to serve the API. I also created a web UI for this, calling the API from the GPU server to retrieve the AI-generated videos. The first version of the GitHub repository, I just posted it yesterday, and it's already available for public download. Everything you can play around with is free and open source. Basically, I'll keep updating this, but it's more focused on server-side API integrations rather than local machines like ComfyUI. We already have ComfyUI to run local AI video models, right? We don't need to duplicate the efforts or similar tools, so instead of using a local model method to run Hun Yuan Video, I created this project for running it in Surface Sci as well. It will have features to streamline the video production process and create longer videos, not just 1 or 2 seconds. You see 1 or 2 second demos in a lot of places. Even with the compressed size of the Hun Yuan Video models, that's where we are right now, limited to a few seconds of demo videos. but we'll still be checking out how it looks and performs using local AI with ComfyUI and the Hun Yuan videos. Here's the workflow from the ComfyUI example page. You can check out the link in the description below. You can click this workflow in JSON format or just save the image and drag it onto the ComfyUI layer diagram. Super simple stuff. A lot of people should already know this. Here's how to load a workflow. As you can see, it's loading the diffusion model videos 2720p resolution BF16. If you're using FP8, choose FP8 or just leave it on auto detect. For NVIDIA 40 series, some people say using the FP8 fast type can improve things a bit. Down here, the clip loader looks familiar. Like Flux, we use a dual clip loader, loading the Clip L and the Llama 3 FP8 models. Again, this Llama 3 is scaled down and trimmed into a single safe tensor file for faster loading, unlike the full model weights you downloaded with the custom notes wrapper, which overloaded your local machine, so there's a little improvement in loading performance here. For the dual clip loader type, we have the Hun Yuan videos type. Remember to update your ComfyUI. So update ComfyUI and you'll see the Hun Yuan videos type in the drop-down menu. The next thing is the load VAE, of course. Very simple and self-explanatory. Select videos VAE as we used to do in ComfyUI. Then the next step, here you see model samplings for SD3. They're using the model sampling from the Stable Diffusion's 3 node. Alright, so let's take a look at what we have here. The guidance settings are set to 6. I tried messing around with higher and lower numbers, but the higher you go, the more likely you are to get weird morphing or deformations in your AI video, so stick with 4 to 6, that's a good sweet spot. Now the default text prompts for generating these animate girls come preloaded in ComfyUI. Feel free to use those or try your own. I usually use Llama 3.2 for generating text prompts. We talked about using the OpenWeb UI before, which has a built-in knowledge base. You can check that out if you missed it. The point is, using language models to generate text prompts helps you refine your ideas. This way, the AI video diffusion model understands exactly what kind of video you want to create. Sometimes, just using natural language can be confusing for the model. Down at the bottom, you can see the empty video rating section. We can generate videos in a pretty good size, 848 width by 480 height. This is much better than the 512 size limit from previous AI video wrappers. Just a heads up though, downscaling the resolution doesn't always guarantee good results. Lengthwise, you're not limited to 1 or 2 seconds anymore. You can generate videos up to 3 seconds long with 73 frames. I've even tested 121 frames with an NVIDIA 4090, which works too. That's about 5 seconds for Hunyuan videos, the same setting used for LTX and Mochi videos, so use those frame numbers for videos around 5 seconds long. The random noise setting is pretty standard in ComfyUI's native nodes. You can use either a random seed or a fixed seed. The K-sampler selection is similar to what we saw in Flux before. The overall connection between the sampler part, guidance settings, and sampler settings is pretty much the same workflow as Flux. Basically, the sampler and basic scheduler are transformed into a sigma, then passed to the custom sampler. Lastly, we have the VAE decoder. In AI video models, we use the VAE decoder with tiling to reduce memory usage and avoid crashing your machine. Everyone has different GPUs, so you have to test yours to see how far it can go before it gets overloaded. Think of it like a rifle with a maximum firing range. You wouldn't try to shoot beyond that, right? So get to know your computer before messing around with local AI stuff. Finally, I changed the Save Image option to Save Image to Video Combined because I want MP4 files. You can also change this to Hun Yuan Video Output for the file name. Alright, that's the basic video workflow overview. For the download link, just head over to the ComfyUI GitHub project page. There's a ComfyUI examples download under the Hun Yuan Videos model link. So, back to the workflow in ComfyUI, let's run a test to see how it performs. The go-to test prompt seems to be this poor Japanese lady stuck in a loop walking down the same street. Think of it like the Will Smith eating spaghetti test prompt. Let's run this one again and see what happens with Hun Yuan videos. As you can see, at 25 FPS, we were able to create a loop of this poor Japanese lady walking, who'd been tested by many people walking her whole life with this motion. It's a little over 2 seconds, but for this demo, I kept it shorter. Of course, if you have more time, you can go for 5 seconds. But for 5 seconds, you'll need to lower the width and height. The ComfyUI will freeze if you try to use the 848 width for 121 frames during VAE decoding. For this 73-frame version with the same resolution, it took about 3 minutes to generate the 2-second video. Previously, using the full model with the clip loader text encoder and Hun Yuan videos model by default in ComfyUI would take about 15 to 20 minutes for a 1 or 2-second video. So, using native custom node integration with the recent ComfyUI update for Hun Yuan videos is a big improvement in generation time. It also preserves more detail and consistent style from the Hun Yuan videos, which I've tested extensively before on replica.com. I've even got some examples to show here of previous testing using the API call in the web UI from my recent GitHub project. The video quality from those tests is definitely better, but that's to be expected. Of course, running things through an API or a rented GPU server costs money. It's a trade-off. If you want better performance, better results, and higher quality, then a GPU server is pretty much essential for large diffusion models like this. There's a common misconception about open-source AI video generation being completely free. People think they can run it without any cost, but they forget about things like maintenance, server builds, and electricity. Even if you download the AI models, you still need a GPU and electricity to run them. You're not going to power it with your own body, right? So even running ComfyUI locally requires a decent GPU to process even a few seconds of video. I've seen posts on some other communities where people are trying to use 8 or 12 gigabyte VRAM cards. Spending like hours to render a few seconds, is it your time not that valuable? Of course, you could just sit there and wait or click generate and walk away to grab coffee or do other stuff. But for me, if I'm using AI videos for production work, like creating ads for clients, I'm not going to do it that way. That's just my preference though. If you're just having fun sharing videos with friends or posting on X, then using ComfyUI to run AI videos like this is perfectly fine. I've also done a bit of tweaking to the workflow. I added upscaling and sound effects using Audio, which I mentioned before. So, after generating the video, it upscales it. If you have lower VRAM, using simple upscaling models is fine. If you have more time and want better quality, then using Flux and the SD Ultimate Upscaler is also a good option. Basically, this is all about generating the video and then combining it with audio using Audio. This gives us a more complete AI video rather than just a visual output. Here's a result from a previous video using these AI models. Some UFO invasion scenes with text prompts. I use the OpenWeb UI and Llama 3.2 again to generate some text prompts related to UFOs, trying to create a futuristic sci-fi video. Let's try this text prompt out. You just go to the input string, paste the prompt, and it'll generate everything. I've kept most of the settings the same as the default ComfyUI blog post. But I did downsize the resolution a bit, especially when I'm doing 121 frames for 5-second videos. One more thing. These AI models can run Loras. It's super simple. You just use the Lora loader, just like you would in Stable Diffusion or Flux when generating images. You load the Lora after the checkpoint model or whatever diffusion model you're using. It's really convenient because it's already built into ComfyUI's native notes. For example, I've downloaded some Lora models from civitai.ai. There are a few Loras already created for Hun Yuan videos that you can try out. You just download the models and use the trigger words to get the Lora's specific style. It's really basic stuff, just like using Loras in Stable Diffusion and Flux, which we've talked about in previous videos. So for example, we can try this one with a Lora. So for example, we've got this Lora of Arnold Schwarzenegger as a character in a video scene. we're going to tweak the text prompt a little bit. The trigger word for this Lora is right here. Using that trigger word will include the main character from this Lora in the video output. Let's add a little bit to the text prompt at the beginning and see how it runs. It should show a guy running on the street in the city with UFOs flying overhead, something like that. Let's see what it creates. For the VAE decode, you might want to set it as low as possible. If you set the video length, the frame numbers higher, like up to 160, that's a sweet spot for me to run 5-second video scenes. Let's check it out. Okay, so we've got the generated result right here from the AI videos. I'll just go to the audio here. Let's check out the result. With the sound, it creates something that looks like a busy city street with objects flying overhead. It pretty much creates what the text prompt describes. So no doubt the text prompt is doing a pretty good job using these two clip text encoders. We've got the generated result, of course. It looks a bit blurry, as you can see. That's because I used a VAE decode of 116 as low as possible because I needed to generate a longer video. Because of that, we'll need to upscale it a bit when we share it on social media. If you're sharing with friends or making AI videos like this, you should at least upscale them. You don't want to share the base AI-generated video as is. You'll get a lot of noise if you use a very small tile size for the VAE decode. It's a trade-off. If we set it to a smaller size, we can get a higher frame number, which means a longer video. But then we get poorer resolution. That's just how it is. So we need to upscale the videos after they're generated. As you can see, 5 seconds is a lot better than what I saw in the first week of this AI model launch, where people using the wrapper nodes were creating 1 or 2 second clips. So that's it for this video, and also for the Hun Yuan videos web UI for connecting APIs on the server side. I'll keep doing some updates on this project. Hopefully there will be some cool stuff. It's based on Node.js, so it's very lightweight to run. It doesn't run on Python and consume a ton of memory and stuff like that. Because it's just an API wrapper, I'm focusing more on the features for AI video generation and streamlining it for production work. I've shared some ideas for features on Discord like project management tools. You'll see a streamlined progress tracker, and I'm adding ideas like a feature where when you add videos, each scene pops up in a to-do process state, then goes to the generation process, allowing the user to review and then pass it to the final step. It's pretty much like task project management software. This is the most efficient way to finish multiple tasks in a project. So I'm adopting this Kanban UI layout for the video generation project. And I am thinking to use AI Agent as the worker AI for running through all the queue and to-do from user submitted. That's going to be exciting. I'm working on implementing this in the Web UI project here. So, yep, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice day. See ya.